What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week, he's gonna die up here if he has to listen to any more god-awful disco music. It's Desra.
I don't understand that reference.
That's a tough one. That was a reference from The Martian, the movie.
Oh, I've only read the book, so. And sitting across from me is Brian Paul.
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we sit around and we talk about old PlayStation VR games from the archive. We take them out and we blow the dust off of them, and we take a look and see if they've been updated, they've been improved, or hey, maybe if they're any good in their original format.
Are we the first retro gaming PSVR podcast?
Probably.
All right. Woohoo!
Yep, and
I'm significant.
Give it a couple months, we'll also be the last. So, Des, with that horrible introduction out of the way,
Yeah.
What PlayStation VR game are we talking about this week?
We are stretching the definition of game as far as it can without breaking.
We're talking about Faded again?
We're talking about Unearthing Mars.
Oh, yeah. Unearthing Mars, released back in March 7th of 2017.
We were so young then.
Wow, that was a long time ago. Over a year ago.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Came out for $14.99.
Worth every penny.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that's getting ahead of ourselves.
It was developed by Winking Entertainment's Light Studio VR division.
Which is a little subdivision of the wonderful publishing company that brought us such titles as Faded.
Well, see, and here's the issue, right?
Yeah.
When you say things like Winking VR, Winking VR brings to mind things like the upcoming game The Walker.
Right.
Right?
But 18 levels? No, 18.
But that's by Haymaker,
yes.
Right? But Winking is publishing it. Or the upcoming Reborn, The Samurai Awakens, which is made by Geronimo,
right,
and being published by Winking. This is the only game, to my knowledge, developed by Winking.
Well, developed by an in-house VR studio at Winking. So
exactly.
Yeah, what Winking does is basically their kind of regionalization services and kind of art direction and things like that. They're not really a designer of themselves.
Right.
But if you are a developer in the Eastern Asia, yeah.
Sure.
Well, yeah, mostly. They sell their services to China, Taiwan, etc. And you want to bring your VR game or whatever animation to European markets, American markets, etc. They're one of the companies that will do that for you. To astonishing success in what we've seen so far.
Oh, so what kind of game is this? Unearthing Mars.
Yeah, I mean, it's an experience that you do stuff in.
Yeah.
I have a hard time, except for a few sections of the game, a hard time calling this a game by any normal definition.
Sure, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But they're advertising it as a 2-hour story-driven adventure, I think.
Yeah, one thing I said it contained hours of excitement. I was like, well, as 2 is more than 1, therefore plural. So yes, there are hours of excitement.
Well, 1.5 was more than 1 as well, because that's about how much I got out of it. I played through the whole game today.
Yeah.
Literally 90 minutes from start to end.
I guess we'll talk about the plot. What there is a one?
Oh, please.
Sure. So you are the co-pilot. You don't get more of a name than that. You're just co-pilot.
They even refer to you to your face as co-pilot.
Yes, throughout the entire game. Yeah.
It's immersive, Des, because they're not using somebody else's name.
Yeah.
Immersive.
I felt damn immersed when I was Gordon Freeman. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I definitely... I definitely would have rather played Half-Life.
So this is the not so far future. Humans are starting their exploration of Mars. You're on a spaceship and you really don't really know what happened. And not because it's a mystery, just because they really suck at exposition in this game. But eventually you figure out something has crashed into Phobos, which is one of Mars's moons, and those pieces of Phobos have crashed into Mars, and you're going to go down and explore those pieces and figure out the crash site, figure out what happened, why did Phobos crash, what was Phobos made out of, etc.
Cheese.
Cheese.
The answer's cheese.
Yeah.
Spoilers. It's
shiny green and yellow and red cheese.
It really is told so poorly.
Yeah.
That you saying that just now is more information than I got out of the game today, because there are so many things wrong with the storytelling of this game.
Yes.
Mostly the dialogue. It's written by somebody who doesn't speak English. Obviously.
No, clearly.
It's spoken by people who sound like they speak English, but only are good at reading and only minimally.
You used the word good in that sentence. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, and that was kind of my throwaway reference. If Winking Entertainment's whole thing is regionalizing games, and they're supposed to be masters of it, they biffed it on this game.
Yeah, there's all these, there are all these moments where people are talking to each other and even to you, and there were moments where I went, oh, what?
Oh, me?
Like I look up and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be paying attention. Like, the conversations are so stilted and so boring, like and spoken so horribly. And there was a line here that I actually copied down.
Oh no!
Because it's so bad. It's very, very early on. I think it's in the very first scene.
Sure.
The other pilots are talking to each other.
Okay.
And the man, there's a man and a female talking to each other, and the man says, "If this and I'm gonna say it just like he says it, no exaggeration. If this sandstorm doesn't let up, it's going to be one long mission." Like, that's how much inflection he put into his voice in each of the words. That's literally the space between each word that he used. And I was like, who was directing this guy? Who was telling him?
That's exactly what I was thinking. It was like, you give me voice. You give me more direction just when I'm doing like a voiceover here. Then I'm sure these people got it all. It was like, here's what it was. Okay, can you come in and do some voice acting for this game? Sure. I'm not a voice actor, right? That's fine. You speak English. Good. Just come on in. They handed them the script. They went through it once. They're like, great, go. Good, done.
Right. They're like, can you put more space between one long mission? And he's like, sure.
No, we'll get it in post. We'll get it in post.
Right. Just cut it, separate it. And just to hang on this horrible voice acting a bit longer.
Okay.
Because Jesus, if you can't enjoy it, then it's just going to make you miserable. The robot's voice, Charlie. Now, tell me he doesn't sound like a robot from like a 1970s sci-fi TV show. He sounds like the fucking Lost in Space guy.
What
robot.
he sounded like was the other guy in the room, just with like some kind of filter on his voice.
Do you think it's actually a filter? It sounds like somebody's making a pretend robot voice. Hey, I'm a robot. I'm a robot. Like, literally, that's it.
Yeah, no, and if you enjoyed that, well, we got a game for you. And if you didn't, we just saved you some money.
Dude, this is rough, man. It's rough, and it's so hard to listen to people talk. And unfortunately, there's so little to do while people are talking.
Well, the good news is, wow, making fun of people talking. I can't talk tonight. Specifically in this one first area where you're getting your exposition and learning everything about the characters and whatnot, you're in front of this map of Mars. This is 3-dimensional map, which I will say there is, okay, fine. Globe.
It's a holographic globe.
Don't try to trick me with your high-tech words.
Some kind of map.
Anyways.
In the future, maps are spherical.
They're spherical, and they represent the
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, there are 2 satellites, and these are not Phobos and Deimos. I don't know what they are, but they're kind of rotating around the globe.
Yeah.
And you can actually catch them and throw them.
Yeah.
And so while you're hearing these characters just kind of talking at each other and at you, you can sit there and throw them around, and it's fun that you throw them and they kind of and get back on their trajectory, which is entertaining for the first 30 minutes.
It's not. It's entertaining for like 12 seconds, and then you're like, "Jeez, I have to listen to these people still talk." And every so often, they'll give you a response choice.
Right, because at least, so you have to sit there, but your choices make a difference at least, right?
They're so inconsequential.
Nope.
In most of the conversations, the 2 responses they give you are either very similar, or they're different, but it doesn't matter which one you choose.
Right.
And so the only time it starts mattering is like in like the next stage, I believe, like you're the co-pilot.
Yes.
And the pilot's asking you questions, saying, hey, how many degrees Celsius is blah 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 blah, an emergency situation here. Yep. And there's a big blinking thing that says 20 degrees Celsius, and then 2 options pop up and it goes 2 degrees Celsius, 20 degrees Celsius, and you have to pick the right option.
Yep.
And you can actually get that wrong about 3 times, I think, before they make you start the stage over again. But it's just so, it's all inconsequential.
And I landed on one loop. I should have written it down exactly, but it was in that same section where there were 2 conversation options. It wasn't where she was asking you. It was just a question she asked you, and if you answer the wrong one, all that happens is she asks you again,
Jesus,
and again, and again, and just for fun, I went through and 10 different times I actually counted it. Like, I gave the wrong response, and it's like nothing happened. It just resets to that question over and over and over and over and over again.
Oh, so that's how you get to 2 hours.
Yeah, that might be it.
Might be it.
And this room, so I've made no secret of my Disney love. There's an attraction in Epcot called Mission to Mars. Okay. And in Mission to Mars, it's notorious for being very vomit-inducing, but and I got pretty sick. But you are on a mission to Mars. You're the crew of a spaceship that's traveling to Mars. So you've got your little thing you're looking into, and in front of you have all these buttons. You can tappity-tap all the buttons, and it's great. And at one point during the mission, the voice tells you, okay, you're sitting in that seat, so you're the navigator. Navigator, hit this button. And, what would be interesting in the ride is if Navigator didn't hit his button, if something bad happened. Right. But of course, this is Disney, and they want to make sure that, in case you have an idiot in this seat over here, that they're not going to ruin the ride for everybody. So they make it so that you can hit all the buttons you want, but it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
Which is a long way of saying this is exactly how the cockpit of the ship in this game works.
Yeah, while the pilot's talking, you have literally nothing to do. So there's like 4 or 5 different levers that you can pull, and there's some buttons you can push. You can play with the radio.
Yep.
There's about 3 different touch screens, and you can just move all those things around. It's like things that in my head should be crashing this thing like face first into the nearest planet, right? Or just at least turning the whole thing off or blowing up.
It's as if NASA decided, you know what? Astronauts are idiots, so we're going to put these buttons, make them think they're piloting a ship. Just like you do with like a toddler. You give them the little pretend steering wheel.
It's like Broken Age. Did you play Broken Age? Except it's less funny than Broken Age.
Yeah.
So, oh man.
But that's 2 different modes of gameplay, which is one of the things they talk about are all the different ways you can play this game. It's not just the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Which is, by the strictest definition, true.
Yeah, they call it a first-person shooter, which is true. It's actually a kind of a wave shooter in one level. There's 10 stages. The 10 stages are broken up, and
was it Denial? And
so some of them are so different from each other. You're like, am I playing the same game?
Yeah.
Right? 3 stages in, you finally get to move around as a person and teleport. And when I say teleport, I mean teleport to predetermined locations around the environment. Right. It's horrible.
Yeah, I often go to bat for teleport, and there's a lot of people out there. Teleport breaks immersion, blah blah blah. Okay, you know what? Chill. Teleporting is fine when it's implemented correctly. Yeah. When you can teleport to these 5 places,
and only one of them is important.
Right. But there's no indication of which one is important. You just teleport around until suddenly, we just
happens.
Loaded the scene.
Yeah.
And it will literally the game just kind of stops like that. So yeah, the teleportation is awful.
Just before we get any further, no motion sickness in this game for you at all, right?
No motion at all.
Very little motion. In the second and third stage when you're actually co-piloting something.
Yeah.
I didn't know if
God, no.
that got you at all. Okay.
No.
Good to know. No motion sickness, guys.
So hey, there's a thumbs up.
Definitely a thumbs up.
Actually, before we continue the crapping on this fest, I was going to make a note about this. I will say the art direction of the technology looks pretty good.
Okay, the technology looks good.
Like this cockpit you're in, even though we razzed it a lot on like the buttons not doing anything, it looks okay. Yeah. It's I couldn't do it, which I mean that's really not setting the bar very high.
Nope.
But that falls apart once you actually get to Mars.
Oh yeah.
And both, and I'm going to spoil the hell out of this game because I don't.
All right, let's spoil it from this point on. If you want just our verdict, go to the last 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, and if you want our verdict, just. Whatever. This is our verdict. I'm spoiling it because I don't want you to buy this thing.
Yeah.
You land on Mars, and then eventually you see what Mars used to look like before it was all right now. In both versions of Mars, it's pretty awful looking. The textures are really flat. It's just which is understandable for Mars itself. It's just this barren wasteland of a planet.
Sure, you can still make it look nice.
Right.
Like for the most of Farpoint was a pretty barren planet.
Yes.
And it still looked like half beautiful, man. Like the sand was like flowing off the ground, and like the rocks and everything looked really nice. This looks rough, and the technology, you said, looks nice. The art direction and technology looks nice. The planet's really pretty lame.
Yeah.
And worse of all, the creatures inhabiting Mars.
Oh, we're going to jump ahead to them? Okay.
I mean, these things, I don't know what rejected Muppet movie these came out of. Like the Muppets. No, I can't. I shouldn't even say that.
Don't
because,
even.
because the
No,
Muppets. The Muppets
painful.
Muppets are cool looking, interesting looking.
They're whimsical and interesting and
Right. But like these are just the goofiest, most out of place characters. I don't know where they found these things.
But you know what really sells them?
The baby noises they
The
make.
baby noises, the voice acting on them.
It's like
Yeah, you love yourself.
that's exactly it. Like what is going on here? Like I don't know what happened, but as soon as I ran into these little Martian creatures,
Yeah.
I was like any chance this game had it being okay is now suddenly out the window.
Yeah. So, which before we get to them, you do get one of the radical changes in gameplay. You get to pilot a rover over the Martian surface.
And for 2 seconds, it seems like it's going to be cool.
Yeah, and I will say, you know what? I did read some reviews. They say the navigation, the vehicle is crap, and you know I kind of like it. It's a new way to navigate things. You know, you use the move button on your right hand to make it go forward. Move button on your left to make it go backwards. You actually pivot to steer. That's fine.
We should probably mention this entire game requires 2 move controllers
Yes.
to play, and also on top of that, this whole section of the game is you're controlling this, was it Land Rover?
Yeah.
As like a remote control car.
Right. And which none of that is. I don't have a problem with any of that. I think it's maybe not the best solution, but it's perfectly serviceable. You can drive, you control it. The problem is seeing where you're going, because the camera doesn't actually. You don't get the first-person point of view of the vehicle, which is fine. I mean, Mass Effect, they did that just fine. I mean, but the camera also doesn't move with the vehicle
At all.
No.
There's no option for that. There's nope. This is you.
No.
You have to click a button.
Yeah, you've got to click the triangle, I think,
And so that the camera will blink
and drops you. Yeah.
to wherever you are. And the thing is you can see like this beam of light way off in the distance, being like, "Here's your destination," and you're like, "Sweet, I'm gonna drive this RC car to that thing over there." But what do you get to do between here and there?
Well, because the terrain is graphically so bad that if you don't follow like right on top of the vehicle the whole way, you can drive yourself off of a cliff because there's no way to see it coming.
And there's literally nothing to find, nothing to explore, no collectibles, nothing, no reason to even give you control at all, other than just to waste time between point A and point B.
Right, which is why I take back my Mass Effect comparison, because that was insulting to Mass Effect.
Right.
Massively.
We apologize to both the Muppets and Mass Effect.
Yeah, so eventually you do... actually, no, we totally skipped the whole exploring the cave.
Sure.
And drilling.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so here's the thing here, right? So the fact is that anybody watching this who hasn't played the game is like, well, guys, what kind of game is this that we're playing? And it's really an hour and a half to 2 hour experience where every stage plays differently than the last. The first 2 stages, you just basically stand there and answer questions on occasion and basically wait for the conversation to be over.
Yeah.
And then you just sit there in a co-pilot seat and wait to push a button, right? And then the next one, you are teleporting around and you're trying to help somebody with something that fell off their back or a new oxygen tank or something.
Oh, yeah. Can we talk about... We want to talk about wasting time?
We certainly can.
So you crash land. We didn't even talk about that. You actually
Crash land.
The least exciting crash landing you'll ever have in any game or experience
It's a
ever.
game about exploring Mars.
Yep.
Crash landing on Mars, and somehow none of it's exciting.
No, it is just the most... this is the one time where she's actually doing a little bit of acting, and it's just like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm just going to open this up a little bit and check my texts while I'm playing, because it's really that riveting of a crash. So you crash land, you end up in the ship, and you eventually figure out how to open the ship. You walk outside for about 3 steps, and she's, oh, hey, there's something wrong with my backpack. We have to go back in. Now, I'm not telling astronauts how to do their job, but I would think job number 1 is before you go outside the ship into the potentially deadly atmosphere, maybe you want to check that stuff first.
And figuring out exactly what you have to do to get her a new backpack or fix her, it was just it's so convoluted. And like I remember the first time I did it, it must have taken me 20 minutes to figure out this 2-second little thing.
Yeah.
It was very little instruction given, and you're just wasting time.
But there's also no time pressure either. Like, here she is, like you can see like air venting out of her backpack. You're like, oh crap, I have to hurry. No, take your time. It's fine. So eventually, we get in the vehicle, we drive around, we drill this cave, and we find these magical crystals, which I would say the one time in the game something interesting was happening.
Yeah.
Was like you're cracking away these crystals, all of a sudden like your visuals kind of change and flicker, and you're seeing like these ghostly shadows, and that's actually kind of interesting.
Sort of interesting.
Yeah. Of course, they immediately, oh, that was interesting. Crap. Sorry, we made a mistake. Let's get rid of that and never do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to what apparently is a vision or something of what Mars used to look like. We meet our little pig lizard things.
Pig lizards. There you go.
Right? I don't know.
That works.
Whatever.
Totally works.
And you have to, oh my fucking God, feed them.
Right. So you're actually climbing a tree with teleportation.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't work nearly as well as it even sounds. I promise you that. And you have to pick fruit off the limbs of a tree, and then figure out which fruit to give to which pig lizard.
Oh, so that's not it.
That's not it.
Nope.
What is it?
Because you can give any fruit to any pig lizard.
Oh.
One of them needs 2.
Oh, see, and here I was thinking, oh, you got to match the colors with the pig lizards, and
No.
So I didn't even know the right solution, and I still got through it.
No, because I fed 1 fruit to each one of them.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, nothing happened. All right, well, I fed them. The game didn't tell me that I failed, and so I'm just going to drive around. Like, oh, those things. The only interesting things in your horizon, there's a pyramid way over there, and there's this cool looking, like, you just see this round thing with these huge, like, crab spider-like legs. I'm like, all right, well, I fed the big lizard guys. I guess I'm going to go drive and check those out. Do you know what happens if you drive towards them?
I do not.
You drive, and you drive, and you drive, and eventually, apparently, Q shows up, because this is thrown back to, like, the first appearance of Q in Next Generation. There's that energy wall that shows up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that shows up.
Huh.
Right before you get him, it's like, oh, it's not an invisible wall, it's just a visible wall. So then I was like, oh, I just wasted, I don't know, 5-10 minutes driving over here.
You drive all the way back.
I turned all the way back,
God, no,
drove my way all the way back to the stupid pig lizards.
Going back to the main menu and starting the whole thing over.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that I was doing anything wrong at this point because the game doesn't tell you.
Right.
So then eventually, yes, I fed one of the pig lizards an extra one, and they did their little dance. And
then the next stage is like this out of place. And I should say this whole game feels out of place. Every single stage feels out of place from the one before it. It's like a puzzle solving stage where you're like, there's like zero gravity blocks floating in the air, and you got to place them into the right place, and then you got to spin these wheels and stuff to make patterns match. And it's like, what this seems like it has nothing to do with the rest of the game.
It's like someone described, because I can't call these puzzles.
No.
Is someone described the idea of a puzzle to somebody, and then that person was forced to draw a picture of what that person said, and a third person took that picture and then described to the game designer what a puzzle was.
Yeah.
The shape matching one.
Uh-huh.
So it could be interesting. You have these 3-dimensional shapes, this object in front of you that has 3-dimensional holes in it. It's like, oh, I have to pick this up, orient it in the right way to... Well, you can't orient the freaking shapes, because if you try to twist it, it just kind of pops back to where it was.
And all you really have to do is get it near the shape, and it just kind of like throws it right in there for you.
And it highlights bright green. So basically, you grab a piece, you wave it around. Oh, that highlighted green. You let go and go. So it's even like the game itself is like, you know what? These puzzles are crap. Let me just solve this for you. Okay.
Yeah, don't work too hard.
Yeah.
And then finally, and there's like whatever. So the last big change, the last big shift in gameplay mechanics doesn't seem like it belongs in the game at all. Even the graphical style is like totally different. It's like they were making a whole nother game, and then they just kind of shoved this in there.
You ever reboot
the 3D CG cartoon?
Yep.
Yeah.
I almost heard a voice saying "game incoming." Because you were just like doing this totally different, experience, and all of a sudden, this graphically different, looks great.
Yeah, it does actually look really
It
good.
looks really good.
Yeah, it's
Or maybe
basically
we're
a wave
just, like-
shooter. It's a wave shooter with one
Yeah.
move control. You're holding a shield. The other one, you've got a gun. There's a little bit of strategy involved in terms of like you're charging up the gun, right? And then like it's actually kind of enjoyable.
Yeah.
In a little my Des Nugget for the week on the PC.
Yeah.
They were like, this is the best part of the game, so let's move it to the beginning. It's actually chapter 1 on the PC version, to make everyone think it's a better game than it is.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
those poor suckers.
yeah.
Because at least we had something to look forward to.
Well, at least we were rewarded for finishing the game with something. All the PC players get is they start off with a bang, and then it just goes fucking right off a cliff.
Yeah. Oh,
like the
man.
rest of the hour and a half.
I'm sorry.
Right down a cliff. And you're like, boy, I hope I get to do some more shooting, and it never happens again.
Yeah, and like with this game, it's not just a simple wave shooter. There are these pretty significant, I'm going to call them bosses, that you have to deal with the whole time. These just sort of walkers that are.
It's so War of the Worlds, though. It's like
It
such
is.
a total ripoff.
Absolutely, but there's like you get this feeling of inevitable doom
Yeah.
because like it's just coming at you, and you have to like charge up and hopefully get a shot off of that. Where you're dealing with it's very. Now, I'm not going to go too crazy.
Right.
It's very bare bones,
But for
it's,
what it is, for being just one of 10 levels,
yeah,
it's pretty good.
it's just like this. Whoever designed this,
Yeah.
give him a raise.
Fire
Let him
everybody
design,
else.
yeah, let him design the actual. Like, I want to play the rest of this game that this is the demo for. And I'm sick to death of wave shooters already. This was some interesting concepts for a wave shooter.
And
But
then there's an epilogue after that, basically like a little final chapter. Where I got to be honest. I almost. I mean, I know this is really pushing it. So stay with me.
Okay.
I almost started caring about the characters. Almost. I mean, to the tiniest degree possible, right? Where like at the very end, I was like, oh, it's over, and oh, this is what happened, and I was like, oh, you learn the fate of the characters and stuff a little bit, and then they're like, you're dehydrated and you're tired.
Oh fuck me.
Go heal yourself up, and how do you have to make yourself stronger?
You open up a fridge, pound a couple Red Bulls.
And then lifts weights. Like literally, with your move controllers, you're picking up dumbbells.
Yeah.
And you're doing this, and every time you do it, you gain like another % of health. So then the next thing you know, you're just like doing it really, really fast just to get the thing over with.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is the dumbest freaking game ever.
But-
just when I almost possibly could have started caring about this, you made me do this for like 2 minutes. Just go screw yourself.
And that's the last action you take in the game.
That's it.
Because you do that, you're in chapter 9 now, and if you skipped ahead, you realize we have 10 chapters. It's like, okay, well, I had this cool wave shooter. I had this exercise thing, which sucks, but all right, let's see what chapter 10 brings. Nothing.
No, it's over.
It brings, what you call in any other game, a cutscene.
Yeah. Yep.
Hooray! You beat the game.
So what we try to do with this show is talk about the improvements that have happened since launch. Like, is this game better than it was at launch? I mean, if you're playing on PC, then yeah, because you only have to play the first stage and then you can quit. But if you're playing on PSVR, apparently version 1.02, patch 1.02, brought some pro improvements. So if you're playing on the PlayStation 4 Pro, it looks slightly better than it used to. And I have to say, when I played today, it didn't seem any better than it did when I played over a year ago.
Yeah, most of the reviews I read said they couldn't see the differences, whatever.
That makes me feel better then.
Yeah.
It makes me feel much better.
Maybe it got rid of the... Did you get like the cool acid trails on your hand?
Yeah, and actually that was something that Arc Park did too before they bumped up the resolution. So it has to have something to do with the super low resolution.
Yeah.
Or it must be like a screen refresh rate or something.
I was if refresh rate is super slow.
Yeah, it's like
That
acid
would have-
trails.
yeah.
It's crazy. Now, so I'm glad we're doing this episode, right? But I hate being so negative on any game.
If it deserves it, it deserves it.
Exactly.
Yeah, this was, I mean, at some point, they had the choice to, are we going to ship this like this, or are we going to put some more work into it? And they said, fuck it, they'll buy anything.
And let's don't forget when this came out, March 7th, 2017.
Yep.
PSVR had been out for not even 5 months.
Right.
And it was pretty dark days. Other than the launch titles and Resident Evil 7, every week was like, do we get a new game this week? Probably not.
Yeah.
And on this week we got this, and for $15 when you're like desperate for new games, I think a lot of people took the plunge, took the risk, and I think a lot of people were disappointed.
Well, I think there's probably also going to be a fair amount of people who maybe hear this and lash back. What are you talking about? This is a great game. And that's just cognitive dissonance, man.
You think there's going to be people who say that?
I think there might be. Someone who is exactly that. Who's like, you know what? I just got this thing. I only have 3 games for it.
Oh, yeah. No, those people are out there for sure.
Yeah,
Actually, you know what's great is the number of times I see in the comments, man, PlayStation VR sucks. And I was like, oh, really? What games did you get for it? And this is one of the games they always list because they just went in on the sale and got the cheapest crap out there.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, well, that's why you think it sucks, is because this is not a shining example of what PlayStation VR can do.
No.
That said, we finally have to rate this sucker.
We do. So our rating scale is a 1, 2, and 3. Number 1, oh my God, you have to buy this. If you have a PSVR, this has to be in your library. It is one of the best showcases for what this can do. It is tons of fun. Just shut up and buy it.
And we can stop there, right? We don't even need to explain the other 2.
2 is, yeah, sure, why not? If you really like this genre of game or it's on a decent discount, yeah, pick it up. You know, it's not going to hurt you. Why not? And 3 is no. Friends do not let friends buy crap. We cannot reward these people. We need to vote with our dollars and tell publishers that we will not take this abuse. We're not going to buy anything just because it's VR. I think I'm giving away a little bit of a hint. But, Brian, what do you think? 1, 2, or 3?
Have I ever given a 3 before?
I'm sure someone will tell us. We need, you know what? I don't kind of put this call to people to do stuff for us because I'm amazed that you watch it all. But we need
Seriously.
a wiki. Because I sat down trying to think of all the stuff we've actually covered, and that took a lot of effort. So if someone has too much free time and knows how to do wikis, man, we need one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've gone through quite a few games, and me being me, how much I love PlayStation VR.
Yeah.
Usually if it's a game in VR, I can give it at least a really, really week 2. Like, I mean, if it's cheap enough, you should pick it up. I've gone on record on the Gamescast before saying that if it's $5 or under, I'll play pretty much anything. I don't, even for $5, which this game is 3 times that much, for $15, this game is absolutely a 3. And I hate saying that because I know that there are people behind it that probably put in a lot of time and effort, and I bet there are some, just betting here, I don't have any proof, but I bet there's some really talented people on that staff.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And they probably put a lot of time and money and effort into this, and you know, who knows how long it took them to do, and maybe their wives and kids didn't get to see them this whole time, but it's not fun in any regard, and it was actually, I really hate saying this, but it was like painful to play through for the second time today. My computer was busy rendering stuff.
No,
my computer was busy rendering stuff while I was playing through it, so I couldn't even capture the gameplay footage. So that means I have to play through it like another 30 minutes to capture footage for this episode, and I'm
so sorry.
really not looking forward to that.
I'm so sorry.
That being said, what are you rating this? I don't think anyone's going to be shocked.
Oh, it's clear. It's a 3.
It's obviously a 3.
And here's my counterpoint to what you said. Yes, there are some really talented people who worked on this.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who did a lot of work on this. But if you watch the credits, there's name after name after name after name after name.
Yeah.
Which means this was a team of many people. Which means, I think in the case of this game specifically, you did your thing. They said, hey, we need a spaceship. You're like, boom, spaceship. I got spaceships.
Yeah.
Someone else said, oh, we need some audio. Hey, I got audio. But there was no guiding voice.
No
there was
director.
No direct. I mean, maybe there was a director.
Oh, I'm sure there was, but he probably got paid too much.
Yeah, there was no, like, passion behind any of this.
Yeah.
There was just, you know what, we're going to crank out this piece of junk, and just, it just, every second of the game feels like there's a voice in my head saying, these suckers will buy anything if it's VR.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like you said, it was early days, and a lot of us did. So not only am I going to say it's a 3, you shouldn't buy it because these people don't deserve your money, it's a 3, you shouldn't buy it because your time is more valuable.
And that's what I keep going back to. Anytime that I think about how to rate these games, right? Like, because I'm, again, for $5, I play pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And for $5, would I play this game? No, not knowing what I know now. But but my time is far more valuable. Like, screw the money.
Yeah.
Screw. You could give me this game for free, and still I'd be like, you know what? I don't really. I have way better things to do with my hour and a half or my 2 hours than play this.
Yeah, this is the very definition of we played it so you don't have to.
Yeah, this episode was a warning.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, and if you know what, if you watch this and like, you know what, Des and Brian, I'm going to show you. I'm going to find some fun in this. Don't.
No, don't. By all means, go ahead. Go ahead. But
we care about you too much.
Warned.
Yeah.
And that said, obviously, if Unearthing Mars is a game that you happen to like, or who knows, love, God, can't imagine. Please comment below, man. We love to hear opinions that are different than our own. Like that's what I love. Like, we put the top 20 list up, and like, man, did we find out what everyone else's favorite games were real quick.
I will say, if your comment is, well, if you get really high and play this, it's well, that's not going to happen.
Because everything's better when you're high.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And since everything's better and VR makes everything better,
right?
Combine those two things, and you're doing pretty good, buddy.
Yeah, so, I can understand that. And if you're talking about, oh, you're sitting there making fun of it, I mean, I understand the whole riff tracks thing, but again, you're in VR in your living room by yourself playing this, so who are you making jokes for? So there's two use cases I can see it making this positive that just don't work.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're always looking for games to discuss. We love seeing in the comments people talking about the games that they want us to play for the next episode.
Yeah.
And man, the list is getting pretty long. I think we've seen a lot of great suggestions.
Absolutely.
But keep them coming.
We always have more.
Yeah, absolutely. The list can get as long as we want it to be. So in the comments below, make sure you tell us what other games you want us to talk about. And
that's a new one.
That's a new one. And that pretty much does it for another episode of Why We Love PSVR. You good?
I am so good it hurts.
All right. Well, for another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR, I'm Brian Paul.
I'm Des.
We'll see you next week.